Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special installment of our CapeSpace Connection series. I'm your host, Haley Cote, Community Manager of CapeSpace Mashpee. And today, oh my gosh, I am so thrilled to be talking with our guest today. She is our Community Innovator this month. And I actually got to first interview this guest of ours a few years back in my former career as a print journalist. And it was one of my favorite experiences, hands down. So I'm so excited to get to share another conversation with her, with you all who are watching. She is the founder of the Kindness Rocks Project and just an all around admirable woman who is spreading positivity in everything she does. So, without further ado, please welcome Meegan Murphy. Meegan, hello.
Hi, Haley. How are you? So glad to be here with you.
Oh, I'm so glad to be chatting with you. How are you? How have you been?
Busy. I think,
Yes.
kindness is on the uptake, fortunately. So I've been a very busy woman these days.
Yes, yes. We'll talk more about that as the interview goes on because I know you have so many new exciting project to share with everybody. But before we dive into that, let's dive into the Kindness Rocks project. So, for any of you watching who haven't heard of the Kindness Rocks project, Meegan, can you kind of give an overview of it and kind of explain kind of briefly the origins behind it?
Sure. So the Kindness Rocks project started as my personal hobby that I started during a kind of a challenging transitional time in my life. And it was a way for me to kind of feel better about just my experience at that time. And it inadvertently turned into an international grassroots initiative based on kindness and compassion in communities. So it's kind of a crazy story, but yeah, I never planned on it, but now it's, in over 90 countries.
Oh my gosh, it's so incredible. I mean, yeah, like you said, what started as just something you doing something for yourself turned into something so much bigger than that. What would you say? What's been like the most rewarding part of being a part of this of being a part of the Kindness Rocks project, kind of starting this global movement, like you said?
So I think, one of the most important things for me personally, like my own personal aha moment, was that, so many of us get caught in the mindset of that, oh, I'm different than everybody else, right? Like maybe nobody else is feeling the same way that I am. And then when you share that vulnerability, like this is going on for me, and you recognize that other people are experiencing something very similar, you create these human connections. And so for me, that has been the most valuable part of facilitating this, global movement. That we all may come from different backgrounds and have different experiences, and yet we're all connected through our shared human emotions. And so when we can focus on that, we can, kind of bridge distances with people, and understand one another better. So for me, that's been, the most important thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And kindness rocks. So it's literally what it sounds like. So people can paint rocks and leave them wherever and, kind of leave a little surprise for someone who happens to stumble upon it. And I think of it as like people are meant to find the rocks that they find. They're meant to see that message. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I tell people that have joined the project, and those of you who may not have yet experienced it, when you put a message on a rock that you need personally for whatever it is that you're going through in the moment, and you put that out into the world for somebody else to potentially find at a moment that they need the same message as well, there's like a healing process that takes place, and it's really kind of magical.
Absolutely. So, we'll talk a little bit more about this in a few minutes, but we had the fortune of getting to do a workshop with you a couple months ago. And during this particular workshop, one of the questions was asking what kindness means to all of the participants. So I'd love to pose that question to you. And what does kindness mean to you?
Oh, I love this, getting mirrored back my own question. Um, so kindness, it's like a multi-level thing for me, right? So one of the things that I think many of us feel, or I know that I have felt, so there again, probably other people have, is that the last person that we are kind to is ourselves, right? We have this little voice in our head that is like, oh, you're not good enough, or you don't matter, or a million of other of those little things that, happen within us. And so it starts with kindness to the self, is like recognizing that and being kinder to yourself. And once you do that, it's like a self-regulation, right? So when you're kinder to yourself, then you want to spread that kindness out to others in your community and the world, and it starts this ripple. But it all begins with the self. So it's not selfish by any means. So for me, kindness means all inclusive, spreading goodwill, and and just kind of creating joy for all.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. So to kind of transition into this other project you've got going on, it was so funny, Meegan. I was watching this video last night with the singer Camila Cabello, and she was talking about how we put so much emphasis nowadays on individuality and independence, which is great, but she was talking about the value of interdependence, of how real fulfillment and joy comes from community.
Yeah.
And that's really exactly what you're doing with the Kindness Rocks and Smiles community project. So I'll let you explain what that's all about.
Yeah, so thank you again, CapeSpace, for having John Schlim and I. He's the co-founder of this project with me. So I want to just give you a quick little background to that. So during COVID, where everybody was kind of behind their screens on Zoom, and I was no longer able to go out and give lots of live presentations, which now I've been doing with the Kindness Rocks project. I received this message from this gentleman, John, who's a Harvard trained educator and professor, and he's also a kindness activist and does community art healing projects. And he kind of reached out and said, during COVID, we're both at home behind our screens, I'd love to just kind of connect and think about ways we could collaborate with each other. And so we started this friendship online, and we both agreed, since we were doing, participatory art things in communities to generate healing, that the number one issue that was coming up on my end, and as well on his end from his students, was mental health issues that were, popping up as a result of COVID, but also just as a result of the world around us. And so we've been working on this for over a year. And really the idea is to, again, to your point, celebrate our being individuals and being different, but yet cultivating community, like embracing one another's differences, but also having compassion for one another, sharing kind of our stories and struggles, and also in a safe space. And when you do that, you have like a better understanding of others. And when we understand others, it's an amazing process. We learn more about ourselves, right?
Yeah, it's amazing how that works. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because, we hear someone else's story, and then we kind of like, the sticky part that remains with us is like, oh, I felt that way too. Or, so I've had a similar experience. And so that's where you build community. And you feel less alone, and there's great healing in community, and so that's kind of what this new project is based upon. And we're hoping to just get this out into as many communities as we can across the world, to cultivate these conversations that lead to greater community involvement surrounding mental health.
Yeah. And, I think it's so brilliant combining like the art portion of that, like, the therapeutic kind of nature of art too. And just again, positive messages, putting out into the universe what you ultimately maybe want to communicate to yourself, and tell yourself like, hey, I need this right now, and I'm going to embody this,
Yeah, both John and I are both artists and really advocates for like self-expression, because there's a lot of healing in self-expression in the arts. And this project is not meant to be like only artists to come. It's basically a mural that you come and you express yourself through your smile and through the message on the rock that you want to, for yourself and for others. And there's something about art that brings us back to like a childlike state, right? Of like just kind of letting go of everything and being in the moment. It's mindfulness, it's creativity, self-expression, and all of those things have this like magical way of healing us. And then when you can sit back and look at the mural and what other people in your community have done as their addition to this mural, it becomes this like beautiful art piece. of expression for a whole community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's incredible. So because you're our community innovator this month, and because I think your story is so inspiring, how like we were saying earlier, you weren't trying to start a movement, and but that's what it became. The universe had a bigger plan for it there. But what would you say to people who are looking to make a difference in their community, but just don't know where to start?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. First of all, I would like to say that each and every person in this world can absolutely make a difference, right? And it starts in the smallest of moments. And, again, I go back to like kindness to the self is where it all begins, right? And so when you take that first big leap and step, and then you can spread that out through your company or organization or community, it's basically, kind of shining your light. Like, so I like to share with people, the steps that are included in this, in making a difference is find out what you personally, the things that bring you joy, the things that you're good at, the things that you can, potentially create and share with others. Just start there. Mine is basically taking a rock on the beach and writing a message for someone else, which is really basic. And look where it's gone. It can be something completely different for everybody, right? And that's the beauty of it. It's, if everybody just took the time to pay attention to their own gifts and then, had confidence in that and leaned into that vulnerability and shared it with others. I was listening to a podcast this morning. It's the Lewis Howes School of Greatness, if anybody is into podcasts. And it's a great one. And it was talking about artificial intelligence. And that's the way of the future, right? With computers. And one of the concerns is that, artificial intelligence is going to, in the next 8 years, surpass human intelligence. And so what do we do with that, right? That can be devastating. But it also can be wonderful if we kind of guide the algorithms to include values, right? And so I was thinking a lot about that, like, making a difference in the world runs the gamut from people who work in the computer field to people who work in the healthcare field to teachers to, people like me just walking the beach and leaving a rock. But if we all kind of start them from our values and what we're good at, and we shine that light out, we can all together make the world a better place.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. Yes, amen to that. So, Meegan, what's next for you? So I guess maybe in particular with the Kindness Rocks and Smiles project. I know you've been, like you said, you've been working really hard on that for a while now. So what's next for you and your projects?
Yeah, so this is, kind of the boost. I guess it's like a booster shot, right? Of my initial project, the Kindness Rocks project. So I'm always looking, Haley, to what are the needs in my community? And again, it's almost like the message on the rock. Like if there's a need in my own personal community, chances are that's a greater need throughout the world, right? So I'm paying attention to that, and I'm blessed that I'm connected to people all around the world. They share with me their stories as a result of the Kindness Rocks project. So I kind of have my finger on the pulse of what are some of those issues in communities in India, in Africa, in California, and as well as here on Cape Cod. And then I'm trying to come up with innovative, creative ways to empower others. So this isn't about me. It's ways to empower others by creating the tools and the resources and opportunities that then I can share with them. So for example, the Kindness Rocks and Smiles project, John and I are delivering it via a kit. So people that want to implement this in their community, they can purchase the kit, they can bring in the local mental health resources in their community, and they can facilitate this. That's how you create real change, is that, you empower others to do the work who may not have the business background. And when I say business background, I mean like formulating all of those tools that they need. to
Mhm.
do so. So that's really what I'm focused on right now. Moving forward, whatever the next thing beyond this is, we'll see.
Mm. Right. And with the Kindness Rocks project too, there's an educational component to that too that you've implemented in schools, right?
Yeah, so I have a social emotional learning
Mhm,
packet for schools for the Kindness Rocks project. And
mhm,
last year, I just launched an art therapy rock painting kit for one. And the reason why I created that was that corporations around the world have been reaching out to me to do social impact training, diversity and inclusion for their companies and organizations. And so I travel or do them via Zoom. And it's amazing because the kits are a one-for-one model. So for every kit that a company purchases to train their employees, we donate one to a nonprofit in the
mm.
community.
That's awesome.
And I'm so blessed, and shout out to a local nonprofit here on Cape Cod that many of you might not know about, but you want to get involved with them. They're called the Happy Hope Factory in
Mhm.
Pocasset. They
Okay.
are an amazing organization, and I've now partnered with them where I'm giving them one for one of my rock painting kits that they share with children in hospitals as well as foster care situations.
Mhm.
And they will be my fulfillment service for this new project. So they will be shipping out all of the Kindness Rocks and Smiles community kits as well. So
Mhm.
that's like amazing.
Oh, that's so cool. Yes. Oh, that's awesome, Meegan. Well, is there anything else you wanna add before I let you go here?
No, I just want to say thank you. And,
Mhm,
one of the things about Cape Cod and living here is that I've been blessed and honored to be involved with many of the nonprofits here. So there are
mhm,
community heroes all around us, right? So,
mhm,
um, I would just say if you have not taken a look around you
mhm,
at some of these great nonprofits
mhm,
that you could volunteer either your time, talent, or treasure to, you might take a moment to do that because the feeling that you will get of giving back to your community is just amazing. And so I think we all should do that at least.
mhm. Absolutely. Yes. Great way to end it. Well, Meegan, thank you so much again. It's always such a pleasure getting to chat with you. It's always so
You too.
enlightening.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much for having me, Haley.
And thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.